Hello and welcome to another video. This time we'll be covering the class Knight because I made an alt from my Berserker. I tried to play a new class and I figured I might as well try out Knight because it has the utility for the group or for the party, for the raid. And so far I really like the class, and as you see in my previous videos I've been doing a 12-hour stream where I played consecutive 12 hours and got myself from 1 to 50 without any boost with furniture or any side quest. So it was all exploration goals and following the main story. But let's talk about the builds, and this time I'm just gonna make one video for this build. There are multiple builds in this video obviously, and it all depends on what raid or what endgame dungeon you're gonna do in Close Beta 2. So something I figured out when I played and did the Fire Dragon, Pyros. Stinging Flurry is a really good skill that you can use that hits enemies above you. So if you're hiding in those holes during Pyros and he's doing flame breath or he's doing laser, then Stinging Flurry hits him while you're being down below. Same thing as you do with the Berserker when you death spin. This skill works as well. And the way it looks is literally stabbing. And you also have a blue light coming from behind you, but this skill hits really fast. It'll do 4k to 5k depending on your weapon and stuff, but it hits really fast. So using this, you may have noticed the sword animation, and due to the hitbox being so large, I can hit the enemies, or especially Pyros, from underneath. See, this should equal. Yeah, as you can see, I'm down below. I still hit it. So I'm right below the fountain or whatever, and I'm still hitting it. So this skill is really good for that. And if I try to do certain other skills, I guess it works on every skill, but believe me and trust me, you can use the flurry underneath and hit the Pyros with this skill. So for this build, for the raid or for the endgame dungeon or hard dungeon, we're going 5 across cut. It's required for the Stinging Flurry, and Divine Strike is on 5. And to get Divine Strike I need at least 2 points in Tornado Slash and 2 points in Crosscut. So in total it's going to be 5, 3, 5, and then I'll max out Stinging Flurry for Pyros. Now you may wonder, why do you have skills like Iron Shield and all the other skills over here? Iron Shield, I feel like if you're planning on moving to the side, etc., it might be good to have Typhoon Slash. You can remove some points and add points into Typhoon Slash instead. Iron Shield itself, I feel like it's really good when you're playing without the priest. Then you can block the Flame Breath or Fire Breath, and you block for yourself only, obviously. There's also a spot in Close Beta 2 where you can avoid damage, but speaking of just going by Pyros only, he sometimes, when you don't have the time to run to the side or dash to the sides, you don't have any stamina, etc., Iron Shield will help you to mitigate a lot of damage. So 65% due to not having capped is at 70%. I'd recommend to switch it out for Typhoon Slash if you're not used to playing with a shield. Due to me playing, my main is a Berserker, I was more used to playing with Typhoon Slash in case I need to run to the side. But I recommend trying out Iron Shield because you are after all playing a Knight and you're using a shield and a sword. So for shield wall, it's just a defensive buff. defensive buff that you activate whenever you feel like you're gonna take a lot of damage. For example, when your Bulwark and Defender Fate is on cooldown, then you want to put up the shield wall in case you get a raid-wide AoE damage to mitigate for your party members. Warhorn, I didn't bother using it even, but it is required for Bulwark to have 3 points and for Defender of the Fate. Bulwark costs 48 spirit. I feel like it's a bit too much, but it's something you can use. If you're not planning on using Typhoon Slash, then definitely try out having Warhorn on your hotbar as well. But if you're not going with Iron Shield path and you're going Typhoon Slash, ignore the Warhorn, because this one costs 50 SP and you won't be able to do much with the Warhorn because it's only lasting for 10 seconds. It is a helpful buff, but it's not that important, it's only 5%. But if you have nothing else to spend your spirit on, let's say you're going, you're not going Stinging Flurry at all, which I'll point out later on in another build, then yeah, you can use Warhorn then. So this is the build that I plan on using. Something I forgot also is Bulwark and Defender of Fate.
There's no evil I
For Pyros, he's gonna have a pretty fast cooldown on his rotation of abilities that he uses. It's usually 2 Flame Breath, 1 Laser, and then 1 Flame Breath. And then he starts off with AoEs, and then it's Flame Breath all over again, and yeah, it repeats itself. So having these skills on cooldown, lower cooldown, you want to level them up, because if you look at the plus and minus, on minus, if I go to level 8, it's 60 seconds cooldown. If it's for current one, it's 55, and then the next level will be 50 seconds. But we can't get that because it's level 52. Same thing with Defender of the Fate. You have 80 seconds.
My deeds here will bring
if you
me
go
honor.
lower, you get 90 seconds and so on. Both of them are on 130 seconds if you end up not spending anything. And I know you're probably thinking, I don't need to protect everyone, I only need to protect 4 people in my party. Well, think about the cooldown as well. That's something I forgot and something I learned when I did the Balrog dungeon. So yeah, these two are really important for the party play. If you want to mitigate damage, make it easier for your priest. And Shield Wall is literally your go-to skill whenever these skills are off cooldown. And Warhorn, in case you have nothing else to do, just boosting 5% damage for 10 seconds, not really important. But yeah, this is the build for Pyros when you attack him from below with the Stinging Flurry. So on the next build, we're gonna be removing, and we're gonna be adding up on the Typhoon Slash. So playing against Balrog, I noticed, let's see, I can remove a little bit more points here. What else can we add? There we go. Let's see.
This should
This
be
is how
very
the
useful.
build will look like. So play against Balrog, I noticed you're gonna need some mobility, you're gonna need some mitigation as a knight, because if you have aggro or whatever, if the boss is aiming at you and dealing damage, Balrog oh my god. Balrog hits you for 1.3k or so. Each hit has a auto attack of combo of 2 hits or 3 hits, which deals a lot of damage, and sometimes your priest can't be there because it's a cleave damage, and the healer will sometimes die to it. So what you need to do is you need to mitigate your damage by holding down the block or dashing out of it. I would recommend the Iron Shield, because then you don't have to panic too much about it. You can use a potion in between or a herb, and then have a priest come up later after the attack animation to heal you fully. So 70% damage mitigation is really good. This is also required to mitigate the damage that the ads are shooting at you in Balrog dungeon. So mitigate as many projectile that you
There's
can
no
for
evil
your
I can't vanquish.
for yourself, and if you have a melee DPS in your party, which is rarely happening, then you can mitigate the balls or the projectiles that are flying towards the berserker. Now, another skill that I pointed out to not go for is Stinging Flurry. You don't want to be stationary, and this is the opposite of Pyros. You want to have mobility. So having mobility while you're dashing to the side, because he will shout and he will also charge. So having the mobility while dealing damage, Typhoon Slash is your bread and butter skill. It will cost 50 spirit, which is a lot, and which is why you're probably not going to use Warhorn at all. And on off cooldown you spam your Divine Strike, which you try to max out as much as possible. I did not max it though. I got it enough, and I have enough skill points to get Drill Thrust, which is your other mobility ability, mobile or mobility ability. It sounds a little bit weird to say that, but yeah. So Drill Thrust is a thrust that charges you forward, just like that. It doesn't cost any spirit. It doesn't cost any stamina. It's just there to have a little one. It will literally charge you to a safe spot in case you need it. So it's a panic button, and it's also for DPS in case the boss, for example, runs away. You charge him with the Drill Thrust instead of using your stamina, which is the shield charge. Not doing that much damage, but it's costing stamina. You don't want to use that, so you can use the Drill Thrust instead. It's on low cooldown as well, so it's really neat. Other than that, it's pretty similar. You want to have as low cooldown as possible because of the end phase of Balrog. He will spam a lot of AoE raid-wide red shout, or whatever you should call it. Deals a lot of damage, so you wanna do that. You will have to run and protect your party members at the same time because they're falling rocks and so on. But I haven't tried this build out, but I feel like it's pretty decent when it comes to damage. So as you will notice, the spin attack is pretty high damage.
I need spirit.
Then you have the Divine Strike, which deals pretty high damage for low cooldown, and you continue doing this. You know, your main job is not to DPS, but it's always helpful to DPS. I don't tank obviously, but always make sure that you're taking no damage. And that's about it. I don't think there's anything else I can cover for the night builds that I've been thinking about. And obviously the first build is Pyros, stationary, down below the ground or down below the holes, and then Balrog, where you mitigate a lot of damage and try to be mobile as possible, because you don't want to get hit too fast by the boss, because he will hit really hard if you don't have enough gear. What else is there to cover? I don't think there is much else to cover from this, so I'll have to say good night because it's really late, and whatever time it is, good morning, good afternoon, whatever, good evening. I hope you guys enjoyed watching and listening to my skill builds and tip. I'll upload the video as soon as possible with the Balrog, and you can take a look on how other people play, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit. Obviously it's not gonna be me playing on Knight, but it's me playing on Berserker, so you can still see how a Knight plays off screen and not being played by me. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.